What if I could give you access to that one thing in my life that has made all the difference in who I am today? Whether it was writing 8 books, buying $2 billion worth of real estate, the marriage I have, the family I have, there's been one thing in all my 35 years of endeavors that has speeded up, given me the confidence, provided me with the persistence, and that thing is, you already know what I'm talking about? It's mentoring. It's mentoring. It's picking the right person at the right time in my life. You know, they say when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. God, you got to know this. Like the student is ready at different points in their life for different things in their life. This is something I'm extremely passionate about. If you're ready to go get it all, join me. I promise you this is a game changer. Let me mentor you. What if I could give you access to them?
Hey guys, my name is Steve Spray. Welcome to the 10X Automotive Weekly. Super excited to be back with you every single week. I come to you live right here where we talk about ways to get your business right, your sales right, your deals right, your dealership right. And if you guys are joining us for the first time, welcome. We do this every single Friday so that way we can make sure that you guys are getting your game right and you guys are taking advantage of the opportunity that you have as a person working in the automotive space. So I know that there's a lot of people that join us here from all over, many different industries. So if you're here, welcome, and super excited to have you guys. So typically I have my partner in here, Jeff Bounds, but he's out on the road this week. And so this week we're gonna be talking about 3 ways to stay jacked up, stay motivated. And this is something that is very underestimated. I know a lot of people that I've heard suggest that, you know what, I don't need any of that stuff. I don't need to be motivated. Dude, that's your problem. That would be your first problem. So when you actually look at what are some of the most important things, what are some of the ways that top tier salespeople, I'm talking about the hitters, the crushers, the people that, are doing 20, 30, 40, 50 cars a month, or in any other industry, you see these people that just operate at higher levels, man. What's up with them? They got different water coming out their faucets. No, not at all, okay? They're just doing things that keep them motivated all the time. And so what I want to do is I want to cover some things that I have personally learned from Grant Cardone, and I want to share those with you today. And I want to make sure that you guys are well aware of how to stay motivated all the time. So the first thing I want you guys to know is that, listen, staying motivated is something that is a requirement if you want to continue to get to new levels. Okay, if you are not working on ways to get yourself more motivated, then what are you actually doing? You're just showing up. This is where you hear people talk about the rat race. Okay, look, most people that even talk about the rat race, they use those terms. They don't even know how to explain what that actually is. You got people that actually even make high incomes. I remember, when I was directly working in a dealership, there was a couple people there that, man, they've been making the same money every single month for years, and you could just see it in their face. They were showing up. They were making okay money, but dude, they weren't even pumped up, man. So they were frustrated as somebody making okay money versus even me. I was probably more excited than they were. I was making 1/5 of what they were at the time, and so this is where, look, you got to figure out, okay, well, how do I actually start to get things right? How do I make sure that every single week, every single month, all of the time, I'm actually refocusing, readjusting to keep leveling up? That is going to be one of the things that you really want to pay a lot of attention to, because look, no matter what, let's just say, I remember for a long time, I wrote down in my goal book, I was like, man, I make X amount of money every single month. I want to make 10 grand. I want every single month. I make that. Well, I got there. Well, guess what? I ran into the same problems I was having when I was making $3,000 a month. How do I stay excited every single day? How do I show up and get jacked up? And so when I went up to the next level, I remember thinking, man, if I just hit X amount of money every month, everything would be perfect. And I even told myself that too. I was like, once I get there, everything's going to be perfect. Guess what? When I got there, I still ran into same problems that I had back when I was barely getting started. How do I stay excited all the time? How do I stay pumped up? How do I actually operate at a higher level? And that's what I want to talk to you about today, because this is something that, it's got to be looked at all the time. And this is where, look, if you're one of those people who actually understand that you get what you put your attention on, look, if you don't put your attention on new levels, new targets, new goals, then your motivation is going to be backed off, And so what happens when your motivation backs off? You're showing up, you're not motivated. Guess what? That starts to leak out all throughout your life, right? And so, look, you're not showing up for your team. You're not showing up for your customers. Can you imagine talking to a customer, and you're not even enthusiastic. You're like, yeah, we've got Honda Odyssey. That's what you get. You guys want a Honda Odyssey? Yeah, we got those, couple of them. Yeah, just tell me what you want. Nobody wants to do business with that person. Somebody wants to do business with somebody who's like fired up, ready to go, who's actually pumped up, like ready to service them, who's actually thinking about the future. And that's what I want you guys to know. Look, setting goals and targets and getting your motivation right is about the future. If you're not putting new things into the future, then what happens is you're just dealing with all the problems in front of you. And if you've ever been in that situation where, and I know you have because I know that I have several times, where I stopped looking out to try to figure out, hey, when I'm tackling these targets, what are my next goals? Like, why am I establishing these targets? What's next for me, right? When I stopped looking out that far, I started to just get like covered up in today's problems, today's issues. Little things. If you ever find yourself getting all crazy and mad and just like, maybe getting out of hand, and then all of a sudden you stop yourself and you're like, dude, why was I so mad at that? It's because your goals aren't big enough. It's because you are consumed with these little teeny tiny problems. Okay, so let's get into it. Number one, actually, if you guys are on Cardone On Demand, and I know a lot of you are because you're either one, doing our Cardone Automotive coaching or our standard coaching, or you're on Cardone On Demand or Cardone University. So I do want you to know that one of the categories that I spend a lot of time in, and I probably watch these videos every single day. That's not an exaggeration, by the way. Every single day for probably the past 4 or 5 years since this was created, I have actually been training inside this program. Why? Because I know how important it is to stay motivated. So how many times have I seen these videos? That's not the question that you ask. The question that you ask is, how often are you reassessing yourself? So look at some of these categories that you would really dive into. Potential, personal development, time management, self-esteem, stay energized, purpose, magnetism, goals, 10x, follow through. These are things that must be looked at all the time. So what I want to talk about first is, because I told you I was going to give you 3 tips and 3 strategies. Number one, you got to set new goals and targets all the time. So I want to give you something. When I first learned about this concept, I heard Grant Cardone talking about, hey, you should be writing your goals down 2 times every single day. You should write them down in the morning. You should write them down at night. Nobody ever taught me how to write goals down. So, look, I just grabbed a pad of paper and I just started like writing down things that I wanted. I started to write down, hey, I wanted to become salesperson of the month at the company I was working at. Hey, I wanted to go on this vacation, with somebody. I wanted to do this. I wanted to do that. I just literally just started writing things out. Nobody really talked to me about what was going on. And so that was totally cool. Like, that was fun. That was like, I was heading in the right direction, So let me give you some things that I've learned just about goal setting. So coming from somebody who's written their goals down 2 times every single day for at least the past 9 years, I know a lot about writing things down and then, putting a plan of attack in place. So one of the ways to stay motivated is being able to write down goals. I want you guys to differentiate the difference between a goal and a target. Okay, Grant Cardone talks about a goal being something that you're not going to achieve that today. You're probably not going to get there today. Okay, it's unlikely that you would even get there this month or even this year. You should be writing down things that get you so jacked up, so fired up that you're like, now if I did that, where you can write it down. Like, I wrote things down this morning before I came into my office that I'm like, I know why I'm showing up. So that way when I face resistance from anybody, when I'm dealing with a customer who's difficult, who's causing issues, who's saying they're not buying today, they're just looking, the price is too high, the payments are too high. When I deal with all those, I need to know why I'm dealing with that. And this is one of the biggest areas of opportunity for you and your team. If you're a manager, if you're a general manager, if you're an owner on this call, you really want to think about, look, how often do I talk to my team about goals? In my office, there's a person every single morning who walks around, with those little, they have them in your accounting office, they like stamp it like approved. And there's a person that walks around and approves every single salesperson's 10X planner. Why do we do that? Because if those guys aren't writing their goals down every single day, there's no way they're going to do well at this job. There's no way they're going to show up. There's no way that if you don't have something bigger to do, that you're going to be out there getting grinded out over 4 hours to get a mini. Okay, you just won't do it. You'll back off. You'll be weak. You'll be like, why am I doing this? And because you weren't thinking about something much bigger and understanding that, hey, you know what, that mini was going to get you to where you want to go. Okay, you wrote this big goal down, this big target. Hey, I want to be worth $1 million one day. That's something that I wrote down, for a long time, where I knew that, dude, there was going to be some mini deals. I'm going to need a lot of mini deals to get to where I'm going, but I was probably going to bump into a couple of good deals. I was going to bump into a few bigger things, some things that maybe pushed me ahead. But guess what? I would have never have got them if I wasn't in the game, if I wasn't out there getting every single deal, throwing down for every single thing. But the reality is, this is where you're going to back off. There's going to be some ego that comes into play where you stop and you're thinking, dude, a mini, and this guy wants to grind me out on this thing, why am I even doing that? Well, I should be out, maybe I'll go out on the lot, stand at the corner, hang around all the guys, sitting out there smoking cigarettes. Man, I'd be better off doing that with them, and so that's where it just starts eating at the mentality that you have. Because at that moment, your motivation is so backed off that you took your foot off the gas pedal. This is where if that happens to you, you gotta be aware that, man, I'm not setting goals or at all or big enough to where, look, I need to be throwing down on every single deal, mini, medium-sized deal, a big deal. It doesn't matter. I'm rolling in hard. I need to get every single deal possible because I've got a bigger target that, guess what? There was a lot of minis on there. Okay, so this is where, even for me, I got to continue to write down and readjust these goals. Now, what I like to do when I do the goal setting is something that I learned very specifically inside the Cardone University. I really learned about, okay, well, what would motivate me, So when I was doing this training, and I do 100 ways to stay motivated, I'm really tapping into this idea of, what is my real true potential? I start looking at, I'm not the only person involved in my world. I want to be able to not only help myself out, when I start to look at, okay, well, man, I want to start making some money, making some bank, helping out a lot of customers, I wanted to become the influence in my area. I wanted to be the guy who was known as the go-to person, somebody that they can count on, so there were other people involved in these big goals. I wanted to have this image that, people knew that they could say, hey, that Steve Spray guy, man, that guy is reliable. He's the guy to go to. You need something done. You want to give it to him. I wanted to be that person. And so I start to factor these things in. So it's not all financial goals, So then there's some other aspects of what type of person are you? How do people view you? How are you seen as the authority? I know there's a lot of people in this industry who they don't want to be seen at all. Look, if they don't want to be seen, there's probably a reason why. Okay, it's because they're not doing the right things. Look, those people. I got a buddy. I got a guy I'm thinking about right now. My guy Rob Ruth. This guy is just a stud all around. He's a good family man. He's got a good, he's got a great business. He runs an amazing Ford store. He's got a ton of great employees. He's got a great family. He's charitable. He's out there living the life that he wants, and that's admirable. And people see that, and they know that he's the go-to guy. And so that's somebody that reminds me of, wow, that's somebody that, that's a good image. So your goal should be beyond just financial. It should be, man, how do people see me? How do they view me? What do I want to do in this lifetime? when I started to look at, okay, well, what am I trying to accomplish? I started adding things like, hey, what would be awesome? Man, it'd be crazy. Like, what if I got to, $10 million? Then I started thinking, I'm like, wow, well, what if I got to 100 million? Then I started thinking, well, what would I do with 100 million? I'm like, dude, I would actually want to help out some charities, man. That'd be awesome, So then I started adding that stuff down. I'm like, hey, I'm very charitable. Remember, some of these things are also the way you view yourself, So if you're not doing the right things in your life, you may not even be thinking about this stuff, So you really want to put down like, hey, what's something that's like worth showing up and throwing down on every single day. So daily goals every single morning and at night before you go to bed. Keep your mind focused on those things. And also targets. If you don't have targets to hit these, so this is where when I was initially setting a target to say, hey, dude, I want to be a millionaire. Like when I made the decision, I started reading Grant's book, The Millionaire Booklet. First thing was like, hey, you need to make a decision that this will happen. I started to put down, hey, you know what, dude, I'm going to do this thing. And I started to kind of work it backwards. I'm like, well, how much money do I need to make per month? How much per week? Then I'm like, okay, well, that's good. But how many dials? What does my talk time need to look like? So if you're in a car dealership right now and you're trying to figure out, hey, how do I sell 30 cars a month? Well, work backwards, man. How many people do you got to call to get in front of enough people to sell 30 cars? Maybe your closing ratio is, you sell 1 out of every 3 people. Well, guess what? Do the math on it. You probably got to get in front of 150 people or, 100, or actually that'd be 90. So 90 people just to sell 30 cars this month, right? So this is where you want to start to look at, okay, well, who is that though? Is that 1 out of 3 that walk on the lot and who are 67% of the way through the buying process versus people that I'm calling where like maybe that is more along the lines of like, hey, maybe I'm 1 out of 6. Or maybe it's 1 out of 8, or maybe it's more than that. Who knows? Do the math. Do the math on these so that way you have targets that allow you to reach your goals. Because if you don't, then you're going to be confused on what to do today. So, I see these people who are also like big dreamers, big ideas, like, they're the ones that are like posting like, don't be the sheep, be the lion, and like, all this stuff. But like, okay, well, I love that. That's a great quote. But like, what are you doing today, man? What is your target? Like, how are you, what are you actually doing to start meeting your goals and target your actual goals? That would be called a target, right? So I'm writing these down every single morning too, and at night, because I need to know like, hey, what do I need to do on a monthly basis? So one thing, I set a target with my fiance where, we were going to spend a certain amount of like quality time vacationing this year as like a little personal thing. And we said, hey, look, we want to actually get some work done while we're doing this. We started planning around, what we were doing. There were targets that I had to hit in order to be able to do this, so I needed a certain amount of sales to actually reward myself for that vacation, So if that's something that's important to you, look, what is the targets that you need? Don't just think that, oh, I deserve it because I deserve it. Dude, set it up. Get yourself excited about it. This is about how to stay motivated. Give yourself a goal, a target, a reward, something to chase down, and then set some targets in place and say, hey, you know what? Dude, when I hit that 30K a month, guess what, man? I'm going to reward myself with something. Maybe I'm going to reward somebody that I care about. Something very cool. I want to do an experience, One thing that I'm doing this year is I'm taking me, my family, my fiance's family on a vacation where we're doing Thanksgiving this year on the beach, like, dude, this is like a big time thing. Like, this is super cool for me to be able to do this. But look, I didn't just say, you know what? We deserve it. I'm just going to put this on a credit card. I said, hey, you know what? Hey, when I get to X amount of deals and I've got certain amount of targets hit, look, I'm going to take my family on that vacation because I want to create an experience. And so what happened was I had this huge goal that meant a lot to me, meant a lot to my family. And then I had all these targets that I had to like tackle every single day to get there, And then all of a sudden I start to look, I'm like, wow, you know what? That's actually in alignment not only with that big financial goal, because guess what? I made out some money on those targets, trust me. I didn't just spend every single last dime on that vacation. So I'm doing the targets that made me the money. I actually did something super cool for an experience for my family. And then number 3, guess what? It was in alignment with how people view me. I want them to see me as like the go-to guy, the guy that can take care of things, the guy that can handle it, the guy that's trustworthy, the guy that, they can feel confident in. So I start to look at, hey, you know what? Dude, that's why I was leaning into that Mini so hard, man. I needed a lot of those to get to where I was going, right? So I didn't forget and I did not fall back on the fact that, hey, I needed that deal. In fact, when I did the math on this whole thing, there was a lot of Minis that were actually marked in there, man. I was super glad that I could work that deal. I'm glad that guy grinded me out, okay? I liked it, okay, because it contributed to the goal and the target that I was going. So if you guys want to call in right now, I want to take some callers. Drop in 305-865-8668. We've talked about number one thing. If you guys aren't on Cardone University, if you don't have your sales team on Cardone On Demand, you guys can message me. You guys can email me, steve@grantcardone.com, and I'll just plug you right in. We should be having this meeting with your sales team this week. I mean, if you have this meeting this week with your team, look, your team's goals will determine the way they produce on the showroom floor, on the phones with the customer, So how many deals do you think you got guys that just like fell back on and was like, nah, I'm going to the next lead because they didn't want to deal with that, Dude, the only reason anybody would ever say that is because they don't have their goals and their targets aligned with where they need to be. Okay, so number 2, let's get into it. If you guys want to drop in a call, just dial that number right there, 305-865-8668. I want to take your questions. You guys got a sales question, you guys got a motivation question, goal setting question, let me know. We'll hit on it. So we talked about setting goals and targets. Make sure you guys get those set up. Number 2, okay, this has been huge for me. Okay, and I'm going to tell you the number 1 success hack in the entire world. Okay, I'll say that again. The number 1 success hack in the entire world is getting around the right people. Okay, for most, and for me including, like I didn't grow up around people that were talking about goal setting. Okay, that never happened. I wasn't around people that was actually suggesting that you should do more. I was around people that were saying, hey man, you should take some time off. You know what I'm saying? These guys know what I'm saying. They're like, oh yeah, I know those guys. Okay, you got that cousin, that uncle. He's like, hey man, you working 6 days a week? Why are you doing that, man? Why don't you come over here? Let's crack open what do they drink these days? Bud Light Seltzer, Dude, I got family members like that. Dude, there's so many people that'll seep into your head, and then you start to think, you're like, man, should I be doing that? Okay? And the reason, you gotta like get around the right people. When I started to get around the right people, look, nobody was talking about that. Okay? They were actually like, dude, nice job, man. You could actually do that even more. Hey, you could hit those goals. When I started talking about my goals and targets, they weren't saying things like, man, you need all that. They were saying, dude, you could do that. I bet you could do more than that. You could probably do that in the next couple of years. Like who is pushing you? And that is the question. Rule number 2, get an accountability partner. Get somebody who's willing to tell you the truth. Get somebody who cares about seeing you get to the next level. This has been massive for me. This is where, look, you got to get on the same page with the people in your environment, or if not, you will fall back and you will fall victim to just negative, false information ideas that are like, hey man, you don't need all that. You don't need to do that. Do you think when I paid for my whole family to go on vacation, you think any of those guys called up and said, hey man, we didn't need all that? I put them on the beach, Everybody's hanging out, having a good time, didn't have to pay a dime for it. I didn't have a single family member tell me, hey man, we didn't need all that. They were like, dude, this is an amazing vacation. Thank you so much. So you gotta who are you getting your information from? Make sure you have that accountability partner, somebody who's willing to jam you up, who says, hey, get back on that phone, man. How many calls you make today? Okay, you made 10 dials, dude. You know that your minimum dials is 60 per day. You're way off, man. You got 20% of your calls. You should be doing more than that. You could be probably doing 100 per day. You would hit your targets. Okay, I know your target is sell 30 cars. I know you want to sell 30 cars this month, man. Listen, the type of activity you're putting in right now, okay, it's not going to get you where do you want to be. Okay, let's hustle up. Let's get it. You need people like that around you. Okay, and I know it's difficult. This is the most difficult one, by the way. Okay, so I know you're sitting there thinking, you're like, man, I don't have anybody like that around me. That's not the store I work at. I got a bunch of bums working at my store. Dude, it should be you that gets people fired up. You should be the one who's holding other people accountable. You should be talking to them about, hey, what do you want to do, man? What's bigger than doing this, man? What do you really want to do? Okay, go talk to the dealers, talk to the sales managers, find people who want to win. You've got to get around the right people. You need to find an accountability buddy. Okay, this could be a friend, this could be a partner, this could be a business partner. This could be somebody that, this could even be somebody that you're working, like if you've got one of the components to a game is that there is an opponent, somebody that you're rivaling against, So this is where, look, it wouldn't be too bad to basically be, I've been doing it the whole time I've been here at Grant Cardone's office, man. I've been looking up, I've been saying, dude, I'm going to freaking, look, I'm going to start stacking it up on these guys. I got all these, like super successful salespeople on my sales team. Dude, I'm looking at them every day, I'm like, hey, what's up, bud? I give him a fist bump. In my head, I'm like, I'm gonna crush this guy today. Okay, and I don't know. That's the way I play, because I'm like, I play a little game. I don't know if that's because of the way I grew up. I like sports. I see it as a way to have some fun, actually add some excitement. But I'll tell you what, man, that little thing adds motivation for me. And I want to see these other guys win too, so I'm pushing them as much as they're pushing me, and we're doing that because, look, if we all win and keep growing and getting bigger, and I outperform him and he outperforms me, guess what? Then I got to go back to outperform him even more. So guess what, man? Everybody wins on this thing. So you got to get around the right people. You got to get the people around you willing to throw down. And if they're not, then I would figure out, how can you become cause over the environment? How can you be the one to get others around you? If you're a manager, if you're a general manager, if you're a business owner, if you're a salesperson, especially people that are running sales teams, look, you got to get your team fired up. You got to get them pushing each other. I got a buddy, Dave, that I've been working with Dave for 7 years here in Grant Cardone's office. Okay, me and Dave bone up on each other all the time. I'm always like, Dave, what's up, dude? Okay, you're not even in the neighborhood of where you need to be this month. What's happening? How can I help you out? Okay, what can I do? Okay, get back on the phones. And he does the same thing for me. He'll come back and he'll blow me up, man. He'll say, hey, what are you doing? He'll see me jacking around or something. Hey, why are you doing that, man? That wasn't on your goals. Okay, let's get going. So it's a fun, good environment, but it's somebody to remind you that, look, you got to get back on purpose. So one thing that I always do, I go to the 100 Ways to Stay Motivated. I just want to show them this program again, guys. So inside Cardone On Demand, Cardone University, remember these videos are really laying out, okay, well, how to. If you guys are looking at the how-tos, you're going to find out, okay, well, how do I create enough, push and reach my true potential? How do I personally develop the right way? There's so much personal development. There's so much advice. There's so much garbage out there. How do you do it right? How do you time manage? How do you stay, self-motivated all the time? So there were things that I learned in these videos that were a game changer for me. I mean, I'm talking about game changing for me. How do you think I stay motivated all the time? You think my job is any different than yours? I'm on the phones all day long, making calls, getting hung up on, getting people tell me no. They don't even know who I am. They don't even know why I'm calling most of the time. I'm reaching out to them. It's a cold call. It's brutal. You think it's any different than what you do? So how do I stay motivated every single day? How do I stay in the game? How do I stay in there and just take punch after punch? And how have I been doing that for so many years? Look, it's an inside job on motivation. It is something that you've got to get your head wrapped around. And if you're not doing it, and if you don't have the right people around you, it is going to be even more tough. Okay, so one other strategy on this is get with your partner. Okay, me and my partner, we push each other hardcore. It is something that it took time to get to this place. I want to make you aware. If you're sitting there thinking, you know what, well, my partner does not like that. Dude, it's your job to create that environment. So if you don't have one, it's the people in your store. Look, you should develop a good culture based off you. That came off one of my personal goals. How do people view me? How do they see me? Am I admired by anyone? Do my actions do other people want to like replicate those, you know? So you got to start with yourself first. You got to figure out who's around you next. How can you influence them in a positive way and get them pushing you and pulling for you at the exact same time, because you're going to need that if you want to hit anything big. So get your partner on the same page, get your team on the same page. And look, guys, that's what you should be doing on Cardone University. If you're on Cardone University by yourself and you're the lone ranger in your store who's on Cardone U, I know there's so many car dealers out there. The freaking manager, one guy's over there in the corner, he's hiding, watching Cardone University because he wants to like save the information to himself. Dude, you need to listen to what Grant's saying in the videos, and you guys need to get that program for the whole team, because you're not helping yourself by being like, you're just the tallest midget, you know? You know what I'm saying? Like, dude, don't be that, okay? How does that help you out? Okay, look, you should be like around rock stars, man. They will push you to be better. I know so many sales managers in the game that I've talked to over the years, not my clients, by the way. So many sales managers that have been like, you know what, well, you know, we don't want to do this program because, you know, I'm the guy that, you know, does the training. Like, you know, we don't need them doing Grant Cardone to get, you know, better, because, you know, like, dude, they didn't want people getting better than them because they knew they weren't that good. Hey, newsflash, dude, you need people to be better around you, man. You're not going to get better if you're the smartest guy in the room. How many quotes online, how many successful people have said, dude, if you're the smartest guy in the room, you're in the wrong room. And then you got all these managers, these general managers. They're like, well, you know, I'm the guy that does all the... Dude, you are, number one, not writing down big enough goals. I will just tell you that straight up, straight to your face. You need to get your game on when it comes to thinking bigger. But if you're the smartest person in the room, if you're the person who has all the knowledge, all the data, and you're like saving it, and you're hoarding knowledge and not getting other people around you better, you are doing yourself a disservice. You know, so one of the most successful things is, guys, is just get around the right people and start, you know, sharing with them what you learn. Here's another trick to this. If they start bashing you saying, dude, you don't need that, you don't need to listen to this, you don't need that, you just need to do this and that, hey, don't worry about it, man. Listen, you probably thought the exact same thing. Don't worry, just keep showing up and talking to them. Hey, man, just closed this car deal. Use one of Grant Cardone's closes to help me out. Guess what? Customer gave me a referral because they were so happy that I actually leaned in, pushed, and stayed in the deal long enough to help them out and get them a deal. You know, got 2 deals out of that, by the way. You know, dude, all of a sudden, you know, the people around you be peeking up. Wait, what'd you get? You read that out of what book? You know, and you can tell them, look, man, I'm on Cardone University. I read the Closer Survival Guide. I read Sell or Be Sold. I'm literally dug in on this stuff, you know, and all of a sudden you'll start seeing them peek into the same thing. And now you've started this ripple effect of people around you that are pushing and going to make you better. Number 3, okay, this thing is so important. Okay, it is so important, and it comes straight out of the book, the 10X rule. Never lower a target. You guys got to stop lowering targets. Okay, this comes down to, you know, sometimes like even me, like I'm writing goals down in the morning, you know, and I'm like writing this down and I put a little B next to it and I'm like, dang, dude, really a B? You know, I even had that same thought where I'm like, am I going to be able to do that? You know, and then I gotta like slap myself in the face, man. I'm like, hey, dude, listen, yes, that's all. If you even had the thought, like, you can do this, okay? If you even ever had thought about doing something, dude, man, put that thing down, put a stake in it, put a claim in it. I don't care how far away you are. I don't care how far. I don't care what you have to do. Look, get it down, get it on papers. Never lower the target. Figure out how to get there. Every single person can. Okay, the first question I always ask myself is, dude, do I know anybody that has this? And I'm like, okay, yeah, actually, I do know a couple people that have that, you know? And I'm like, well, what'd they do? You know, did they tell me that, were they rocket scientists? Was there something crazy out of the normal that they didn't have? Then I actually look at it, I'm like, actually, their situation started off worse than mine did, you know? And then I just start doing the math. I'm like, hey, actually, you know what? If I do the math on these things, I start looking at it, I'm like, hey, you know what? Dude, I got some time in this game. Okay, I'm still a young guy. I've still got a lot of years left on this thing, you know? And then all of a sudden, I'm like, hey, actually, you know what? That's pretty doable. Like, I'm like, hey, you know what? All of a sudden, guess what, man? Motivation changes. All of a sudden, I'm like, you know what, dude? I can do this. And I didn't lower my target. So number 3 is so important. Do not lower your target. If you have a manager who is lowering targets on you, you need to tell them, hey, listen, do not lower my targets, man. I need you to hold me accountable. That's what you need to do. I can do this, okay? If you're not hitting your targets, you need to apply more action. That's just simple math. If you guys haven't read the 10X rule, it'd be important for you to do it. It is the guidelines. It is the right book. It is the one book that tells you how to hit massive targets, how to get out there. It's not just to do more. There's a whole program around that. It's called the 10X rule. If you haven't read it, dive into it. If you lower a target, okay, I want you to be aware. Even if you don't tell anybody, you know about it, okay? You are the one that knows. You know what, man, I'm just gonna go ahead and back off on myself. You know, I'm gonna lessen myself real quick, man. I'm gonna bring myself down a little bit, you know? I had an idea one time that I could do that, but I can't do that, man. Actually, I'm gonna back off a little bit. I think I'm gonna slow it down. You know, listen to all the things that you're telling yourself when you do that, man. You're literally wrecking yourself at that time. You're giving yourself that head trash. Get that out, get your targets back up. Here's one thing that I would tell you that I learned in the 10X rule. Listen, if you're not hitting targets, it's because they might be too low. Okay, that is something straight. There's a whole chapter on reasons people don't hit their targets is because they're too low, and you start to think, I remember first time I heard that, I'm like, well, how's that possible? If I'm not hitting it, how is it too low? You know? Guys, this whole show is about motivation. You get motivated enough to do something, you're gonna be fired up, you will figure out a way to do it. You will be lit up so hot, ready to get it. I remember back when I just wanted to sell 25 cars in 1 month. I was like, dude, I'm gonna do this. And I'd never done it, by the way. Okay, the most I'd ever, when I made that goal, I think the most I'd sold was like 12. So I'm literally talking about, hey, listen, I grinded it out every month, but now I just want to double, you know? So I put this goal down, I'm like, dude, 25 cars. I remember when I got there, I was like, dude, I was so pumped up, so jacked up. And then almost immediately, I literally found out that there was a guy across town who sells 50 cars a month selling the same product I had. And I was like, what? Are you kidding me? But dude, guess what? Reassessed what I was doing. I said, dang, dude, like, actually just last month I was doing half this, but I figured out a way to do it. So if I figured out a way to double it one time, wonder if I could figure out a way to double it the next time. All of a sudden, dude, here we go again. I got some new motivation. I'm fired up. I'm ready to roll. Guess what? New target, new goal. Okay. I got people around me. You know, I started telling them, hey, dude, listen, I'm going to do this. Okay. That's the first thing to do when you want to get people around you. Like if you guys follow me on social media, a lot of times I'm just putting stuff out there because I want people to be asking me about, hey man, you got that? You got that yet? What's up with that? You getting that? Dude, I'm putting it out there because I need people to push me to get there. You know, I've got goals and targets to get there, and I want to let other people's know because one of my goals is I don't let people down. You know, and I want to make sure, listen, I got a lot of people that are counting on me for this one. You know, guess what? Guess who's not going to fall short of it? Okay, me. The more people you got counting on you for it, the less likely you're gonna fall. You know, so get people to let you know, man. It's not to stop hoarding your goals. Stop making if your goals are so small that you want to keep them in your little teeny tiny pocket right here with your pocket square. You know, dude, you're not doing this thing right. Okay, you guys got to change the way you see this. Make it bigger. Make it known. Get people on the same page, and never ever ever lower your target. Okay, so. Guys, this week we hit on 3 ways to stay motivated, 3 ways to stay jacked up, pumped up. And listen, this is a reassessment all the time. When you hit a goal, change it. When you hit a target, adjust it. Look, you got to keep moving up. That's where that new fire comes from. You're going to be doing this forever, okay? And you got to ask yourself, well, look, you know, when do I get off that? Well, you know, whenever you want, you know, but what are you going to do? You're going to get off, you know, while you're demotivated now, or you want to get all motivated, have an amazing career, get a bunch of people backing you, have a lot of friends, a lot of family members, a lot of people that you helped, you know, you threw down. People know you as the go-to guy. Guess what? Okay, new things are going to come down the line that you probably never expected, and it was all because of what you did today. All because just this morning you wrote down a big goal, then you freaking leaned in on that freaking mini, okay, that otherwise you would have given up on, and then you freaking grinded it out with him. You got it. You knew that it contributed to your target, and all of a sudden you do that over and over, okay, big things are going to happen for you. So guys, every week on the 10X Automotive Weekly, we come to you here with real strategies, real things to actually do. That way you guys can sell more cars, get more customers, help more people. They're going to buy this stuff with or without you guys. You got to be the person, okay? Who are you going to be, okay? There's people out there giving up left and right all the time. Don't be that person, okay? Make a difference, do great things. And guys, look, here at Grant Cardone's office, we've got so many ways to help you out. If you're an individual and you're not on Cardone University, just go to the website, cardoneuniversity.com, request access. If you're a manager, if you're a business owner, if you're a general manager and you're thinking, you know what, dude, we need to throw down right now. I'm sick of living my life. Telling myself that, I'm doing well because I'm the top guy in my store, and I actually want to throw down. Okay, I want to grow big, man. Maybe we get another store around here. Maybe we got 2, 3, 4, 5 stores, man. Maybe get yourself thinking crazy big, and you want us to back you and help you and coach your people to help you be more successful. We've got a Cardone Automotive coaching program. Just email me, shoot me an email, Steve, STEVE at grantcardone.com. I'm gonna help you out. I'll get you plugged in. And guys, as always, we're going to be back here every single Friday, 10 a.m. on the 10X Automotive Weekly. We'll see you back.